So I want to talk about something a little bit awkward. I was invited to speak. My friend owns a school and he asked me to speak to his students about the life of an entrepreneur and the journey of an entrepreneur, and hopefully inspire some of them to become entrepreneurs. So anyway, I walked in and he introduced me. Really, it was such a nice introduction. I always think the thing about introductions sometimes is if they're too nice, you almost have to live up to that. It perhaps puts a bit of pressure on you. And for whatever reason, I felt that pressure. And when I stood up in front of the class and started to talk, absolute gobbledygook came out. Like, it just made no sense. I said one line, then I said another, and before I knew it, as I was talking in my head, I was like, what the hell are you saying? And then I was kind of looking around the room, and of course, kind of, people in the class are going to be a bit distracted anyway, but then I was like, oh my God, this is an interesting film. Anyway, before I knew it, my hands started shaking, my legs started shaking, I started profusely sweating, and I completely lost my train of thought, and I was kind of still and silent for what seemed like a year, but it was probably about 5 or 10 seconds before I said, actually, kids, I'm really sorry, I just very urgently need to take a call. I'll be back in a minute. And walked outside and actually started hyperventilating. It's the guts of a panic attack. Which was, I was actually really embarrassed because I really admire the guy who invited me in to speak, and it's such an honor to be invited in to speak, and to make a mess of it isn't the best. Anyway, I kind of had to mentally reset, and I came in and I just got through it. And then I left, and I picked up the phone and rang a friend, and I was chatting to him about it, and he was like, how hilarious that in telling the story of an entrepreneurial journey, you have a panic attack. You could never have a more appropriate thing, because business is this mad journey that it pulls in every which way of you, and you end up having panic attacks, you end up being stressed, you end up being really excited, you end up all over the place. And I thought it was a really kind of an interesting thing probably to share, that probably a lot of people don't talk about it. Like, I've never heard Gary Vee talk about having a panic attack, but I lay it that he has. I never hear anybody talking about that kind of stuff. And I suppose what probably it got to me, I probably had that because I was just a bit knackered. I'd been working really hard and I hadn't slept as well as I should. And it's just interesting, these things happen. They're completely normal, and they're probably a nice way of your body telling you, you need to take a bit of a break, you need to chill out, you need to relax. Certainly it was that for me. But anyway, I just wanted to share it because I think it's really important to share the good things. And on Instagram I'll say, like, this is my big event, or this is something cool we're doing. But on the flip side of that, it's really, really important to share the more, I suppose, more challenging kind of experiences, because the normalizing of them is so important in a relative fashion. For me, certainly when I look at a lot of others, you see the silver lining and you don't think they suffer the same things you do. But if they actually talked about it, you'd realize that they're human, you're human, and you'd probably give yourself a bit more credit than you normally do. So anyway, that's why I'm sharing this completely weird video. Apologies if you watch this and be like, what the fuck is the point in this? But I think there's a really, really good point to sharing the bad times and the weird experiences as well as the good.